Chapter 1: The Ether Jump Initiative. Captain Ilara Vance stood resolute at the helm of the Asterisk Vanguard Asterisk, her silhouette a stark contrast against the backdrop of a cosmos in upheaval. Reroute power. Fortify thrusters over shields, immediately. Her voice cut through the chaos, sharp and commanding, slicing through the cacophony of alarms that wailed across the bridge like an ominous symphony. The Asterisk Vanguard Asterisk, once a gleaming symbol of humanity's thirst for discovery, now a vessel of war's necessity, heaved with the groan of strained alloy, surging forward in a harrowing flight for existence. Beyond its hull, the shattered remnants of a celestial body orbited a gas giant, a grim testament to the conflict that had become humanity's defining struggle against the relentless Sentinels. Ren, her unwavering first officer, clung to the console as if it were his lifeline, his gaze locking with Vance's. "Firepower won't win this, Ilara. Our course?" His words were the calm within the storm, a grounding force amid the turmoil. Vance's reply was a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, tinged with the calculated intent of the cybernetic enhancements that laced her features. "We don't flee, Ren. We outmaneuver. Initiate ether jump protocol." A hush descended upon the crew, the gravity of her directive enveloping them like a specter. The ether jump, a maneuver theoretical in nature, untested, unpredictable, could spell their salvation or their undoing. As a Sentinel's salvo struck true, the Asterisk Vanguard's asterisk defenses flickered, the stuttering glow mirroring the waning pulse of hope itself. Captain Ilara Vance stood like a bastion at the command of the Asterisk Vanguard Asterisk, her figure outlined against the tumultuous tapestry of a universe at war. Shift power. Prioritize thrusters over shields at once. Her order, crisp and authoritative, cleaved through the clamor of alarms that resounded throughout the bridge, a requiem for hope. The Asterisk Vanguard Asterisk, once a beacon of human curiosity and exploration, now reforged into an instrument of conflict, lurched as it responded, its metallic sinews creaking under the strain. Outside, the fragmented remains of what used to be a moon circled a looming gas giant, a somber arena for humanity's desperate stand against the inexorable Sentinels. First Officer Ren, the steadfast pillar to Vance's command, braced against his console, his eyes meeting hers with unspoken understanding. "We won't win this with firepower alone, Ilara. What's our trajectory?" His voice was a steady pulse, a grounding force amidst the sensory storm. Vance's answer was the embodiment of calculated courage, her human resolve interwoven with the technological prowess of her cybernetic implants. "Escape is not our strategy, Ren. We outwit them. Prepare for ether jump." The crew became statuesque, the significance of her stratagem settling upon them with the inevitability of nightfall. The ether jump, a maneuver of last resort, its potential as vast and uncharted as the void itself. The Asterisk Vanguard Asterisk shuddered violently as a Sentinel assault found its target, the shield's luminescence faltering like the dimming flame of hope. Vance's fingers flew over the control panel with an urgency underscored by grace, her cybernetic enhancements whirring in silent symphony with the ship's beleaguered systems. "Commencing ether jump in 3, she intoned, her voice a bastion of calm amidst the tempest. 2. The din of battle seemed to reach a fever pitch in anticipation. 1. Reality itself appeared to contort, bending to the Asterisk Vanguard's asterisk audacious gambit. In a heartbeat, the tumult gave way to a profound hush, a void that embraced the crew as they streaked through a self-forged tunnel in the fabric of space-time. The bridge was awash with the ethereal luminescence of the jump, casting spectral shadows that flickered across the faces of the crew. now motionless save for the rhythmic tapping of Ren's finger against his console, a metronome to their unmeasured journey. With a jarring lurch, they were thrust back into the realm of conventional space, the vessel's system stirring to life, its sensors casting out into the expanse for signs of pursuit. No sentinels in sight, no threats on the immediate horizon, only the boundless, starry ocean of the universe and the palpable silence of survival. Ren was the first to shatter the quiet, his voice a subdued murmur. Against odds, we persist. Vance did not permit herself the luxury of relief, eyes steadfast on the star map unfurling a path to their next beacon of hope, the ancient alien relic on a world forsaken. She understood the gravity of their mission, to seize humanity's last hope to thwart the Sentinel onslaught. The bridge's main display crackled to life, an urgent transmission from Earth Command piercing the static. The face of the highest-ranking officer materialized, haggard but resolute. "Vance," he implored, each word heavy with the weight of worlds. "The coordinates are yours. Trust this task to no one else. The artifact is pivotal." The message cut off as abruptly as it began, leaving a solemn silence in its wake. Ren faced Vance, his expression etched with concern. "You heard him. From here on, we tread alone." Her cybernetic gaze swept across the crew, their visages a tapestry of fear, resolve, and wonder. "We've always been solitary," she murmured, "and yet here we stand." The Asterisk Vanguard asterisk slipped silently through the void, its path set by destiny or chance. As the chapter concluded, the thoughts of those on board were not on the skirmishes past, but on the enigmas that lay ahead. What might lie within the alien artifact? Could it indeed alter the course of the war? And what price might be exacted for such power? Vance settled into her captain's chair, the weight of command a tangible presence. Her gaze lingered on the celestial debris they had left behind, a testament to the ravaged world they sought to reclaim. Her hand hovered over the navigation console, the coordinates for their next leap into the unknown already set. In the commanding shadow of Captain Ilara Vance, the Asterisk UES Vanguard asterisk surged ahead, propelled not just by its engines but by the sheer force of her will. "Redirect power. Boost thrusters at the expense of shields," she commanded, her voice slicing through the bridge's alarm-laden chaos like a blade. The Asterisk Vanguard asterisk, once a shining testament to humanity's exploratory dreams, now wore the scars of battle, repurposed as a harbinger of war. It responded with a metallic moan to her command, plunging forward as if to escape its own imminent demise. A fractured moon's remains spiraled around a gas giant in the distance, a stark reminder of the stakes at play in humanity's fight against the relentless sentinels. Ren, the first officer, a pillar of strength beside her, anchored himself against the console, his eyes locked with Vance's, sharing a silent conversation. "Firepower won't tip the scales, Ilara. What's our path?" He was the voice of reason, a steadfast constant amidst the chaos. Her answer was an alloy of human determination and cybernetic precision. "We're not fleeing, Ren. We're outmaneuvering them. Prepare the ether jump." A palpable tension gripped the crew as they contemplated her words. The ether jump, a theoretical escape maneuver, was as fraught with danger as it was with promise, a leap into the unknown that could just as likely lead to their salvation as to their annihilation. As a volley from the sentinels rocked the Asterisk Vanguard asterisk, the ship's shield shimmered precariously, mirroring the fragile thread of hope they all clung to. Vance's fingers, augmented by whirring cybernetics, danced across the interface, weaving a desperate spell of survival. "Ether jump in 3, she announced, her voice a calm within the storm. 2. The maelstrom of battle seemed to pause in anticipation. 1. Reality bent around the Asterisk Vanguard asterisk, space itself contorting in response to their audacious gambit. And then, silence, complete and enveloping, as they hurtled through an astral corridor of their own design. The bridge crew was bathed in the otherworldly light of the jump, casting haunting shadows across their faces, motionless but for Ren's rhythmic tapping on his console, marking the time and distance of their unprecedented journey. They emerged from the jump with a jolt, the ship roaring back to life as it scanned for signs of the enemy. No sentinels, no immediate danger, just the infinite expanse of the cosmos and the hush of narrow escape. Ren broke the silence, his voice a murmur of wonder and relief. We continue to defy the odds. Yet Vance remained focused, her gaze on the star chart that outlined their path to the ancient alien artifact, humanity's last hope to turn the tide against the Sentinels. The main screen flickered with an incoming transmission from Earth Command. A weary but determined face appeared. "Vance," it spoke with urgency, "you carry the hope of us all. The artifact you seek may be the key to understanding the Sentinel's technology. Secure it at all costs." The transmission crackled and died, leaving a heavy silence in its wake. The crew of the Vanguard exchanged glances, each face reflecting the gravity of their mission. They were beyond the edge of known space, in uncharted territory, and the weight of humanity's future rested on their shoulders. First Officer Ren turned to Vance, his face etched with worry. "The Sentinels have never pursued this far. Do you think they know what we're after?" Vance considered the question, her cybernetic eyes processing the star map with inhuman speed. "Doubtful," she finally said. "Our intel on the artifact was buried in layers of secrecy. But we can't underestimate them. They've proven to be adaptive." The crew nodded, understanding the stakes. The Sentinels, a mysterious and relentless force, had pushed humanity to the brink of extinction. Their origin and purpose were unknown, but their capability for destruction was unquestionable. "Let's not dwell on the Sentinels for now," Vance continued. "Our focus must remain on reaching the artifact. It's said to be located in a temple of sorts, hidden on a planet teeming with hostile flora and fauna. We'll need to be prepared for a ground mission." The crew shifted, readying themselves for the task ahead. The Vanguard's armory was well stocked, and its complement included some of the best-trained Marines in the fleet, prepared for whatever challenges they might face on the planet's surface. As the ship hurtled through the silence of space, the crew busied themselves with their duties. Vance, however, remained in her chair, lost in thought. She couldn't shake the feeling that there was something they were missing, some piece of the puzzle that eluded her grasp. The artifacts, the war, the Sentinels, it was all connected, but how? Hours turned into days as the Vanguard continued its journey through the cosmos. Finally, the voice of the navigator broke the monotony. "Approaching the target system, Captain. Dropping out of FTL in 3, 2, 1. Space normalized around the ship as it emerged from faster-than-light travel. Before them, a planet loomed, a world of oceans and land masses shrouded in green and brown, with swirling clouds casting great shadows over its surface. Vance rose from her chair, her eyes fixed on the view screen. "Scan for any signs of Sentinel activity. I want full stealth protocols in place. We can't afford to be detected." The crew leapt into action, their fingers flying over consoles as they executed her orders. "No Sentinel ships in the immediate vicinity," the sensor officer reported. "The planet appears untouched." "Good. Keep scanning," Vance replied. "Prepare a landing party. Ren, you're with me. We'll take point. If the artifact is down there, we're going to find it." With a nod, Ren acknowledged her command, and together they left the bridge. The corridors of the Vanguard were quiet as they made their way to the armory, the silence a stark contrast to the chaos of battle they had left behind. As they suited up, The rest of the landing party joined them, each member checking their gear with practiced hands. Vance looked them over, a fierce pride welling within her. They were more than just soldiers. They were survivors, warriors whittled by hardship into instruments of tenacity. "Remember, we're not just fighting for our lives," she said, her voice steady and clear. "We're fighting for the future of humanity. What we do today may change the course of this war. Be sharp, be wary, and keep your eyes on the objective." With a collective affirmation, the team made their way to the dropship. The Vanguard loomed large behind them as they descended towards the planet, its silent silhouette a guardian watching over them. The unknown awaited them on the surface, hidden amidst the dense jungles and towering mountains. But for Captain Ilara Vance and her crew, the unknown was nothing new. It was simply the next challenge to face, another step in their long journey through the stars. And as the dropship pierced the planet's atmosphere, the first chapter of their story came to a close, while the next waited to be written with the ink of their resolve and the blood of their courage. Chapter 2. The Artifact's Echo. Whispers of the cosmos murmured through the vast emptiness, a symphony of ancient secrets and celestial enigmas. Within the heart of this cosmic orchestra sailed the Asterisk Vanguard Asterisk, her engines humming a quiet counterpoint to the stellar choir. In the captain's chair, Ilara Vance felt the silent pulse of the universe wash over her, the residue of the ether jump clinging to her crew like the touch of a ghost. The luminescent star chart cast a halo of azure light over Vance's stoic features, painting her in shades of resolve and tenacity. First, Officer Wren's voice sliced through the hush, a grave note of reality. "We have arrived at the Orda system. The planet holding the artifact is coming into view." The serene ballet of space was shattered as alarms tore through the calm, a piercing call to action. "Sentinel drones incoming," barked the tactical officer. "They've shadowed us through the jump." Vance's eyes, more machine than flesh, flared with digitized precision. "Initiate evasive patterns. Head for the asteroid belt," she commanded, her voice the embodiment of authority. The Asterisk Vanguard Asterisk wove between the asteroids with the grace of a cosmic dancer, her crew a unified force against the encroaching threat. Amidst the bedlam, a different sound emerged, a resonance that thrummed through the hull, a call emanating from the planet, an ethereal voice that reached out to those who dared to heed it. "It's the artifact," Vance realized, her voice barely above a whisper, yet it carried the weight of revelation. To some, the artifact's call offered a glimpse of knowledge and power beyond imagining. To others, it echoed with the seductive lure of their deepest desires or fears. It was a clarion call to the soul, and it demanded attention. Wren's hand hesitated above the red button of the weapons console, his gaze questioning. Vance's response was a decisive shake of her head. "We're not engaging. We make planetfall. Prepare for descent." The Asterisk Vanguard Asterisk cut through the planet's atmosphere like a meteor, the frictional flames engulfing them in an embrace of rebirth. They emerged above a world of verdant mystery and rugged beauty, the antithesis of the sterile void they had traversed. The Sentinel drones, confused by the magnetic tempest stirred by the artifact, were cast aside by the planet's tumultuous welcome. The Asterisk Vanguard Asterisk landed with the grace of a bird of prey, its ramp touching down onto foreign soil, hissing open to a world untouched by human footprints. The crew's sense of victory was fleeting as the sensors alerted them to an anomaly, an outpost nestled within the dense jungle, a structure that spoke of intelligence and purpose. "There's more to this planet than we anticipated," Vance cautioned, her voice a murmur of steel. Her exchange with Wren was an unspoken pact of trust and determination. "We establish contact. If they are linked to the artifact, We need to understand their intent. With the ramp down, Vance led her crew into the embrace of an alien wilderness. The planet's breath was a concoction of exotic scents, and the calls of its wild inhabitants were like the echoes of a dream. They approached the outpost, a natural extension of the planet itself, where technology and ecology intertwined in seamless symbiosis. From its thresholds emerged the custodians, enigmatic sentinels of organic artistry, their presence as commanding as the artifact's silent song. "We seek the artifact," Vance declared, her resolve unwavering despite the dance of doubt in her mind. The custodians surveyed the human envoys with eyes deep as the space from which they came. "The artifact is not yours to claim," they intoned, their voice a chorus of gentle admonition. "Its currents run deep and wild, beyond your grasp." The air crackled with the tension of imminent confrontation. Wren's hand edged towards his weapon, but Vance's raised palm was a bastion of calm. Their standoff was broken by the planet itself, as tremors shook the ground and a thunderous roar sliced through the air. From the jungle emerged a sentinel colossus, a grotesque titan born of the same dark force as the drones. The custodians shifted, their forms unfolding into warriors of old, their bodies singing the war songs of their kind. Vance knew that the time for words had passed. "To arms!" she cried, her own weapon drawn as the shadow of the behemoth fell upon them, and the echoes of the artifact seemed to pulse in anticipation of the coming storm. Chapter 3. The Price of Knowledge. Captain Alara Vance stood amid the tempest of battle, her senses attuned to the rhythm of war, a cacophony of clashing metal and primal roars from the Sentinel Colossus. The makeshift alliance of her crew and the enigmatic custodians fought back to back, defiance etched into every move. Yet, as they valiantly held the line, the very earth conspired against them. The ground fractured, yawning chasms opening like wounds in the world's flesh, eager to swallow them whole. The behemoth, a leviathan of forgotten tech, relentlessly battered their defenses, each strike a testament to their own mortality. Vance's vigilant gaze caught a flicker of hope, a pulsing heart of energy within the behemoth's armored chest. A daring strategy surged through her, as reckless as it was necessary. Her command cut through the turmoil, a clear note of unwavering intent. "Aim for the chest. There lies its core." A fusillade of fire concentrated on the behemoth's chest plate. The battle hung suspended in a breathless moment before the core was laid bare, a radiant beacon of the creature's life force. The behemoth's chest plate crumbled under their onslaught. An explosive surge of light engulfed the clearing as the core detonated, the shockwave casting both humans and custodians down in defeat. The sentinel, its vital spark extinguished, collapsed into ruin. A hush fell, poignant and foreign, in the aftermath of the clamor. The custodians, now tranquil, rose with a demeanor that was not of thanks but of solemn reproach. "The artifact's guardian is no more," they declared, their voices an echo of ancient sorrow. "The equilibrium is undone. Depart at once, lest you face dire repercussions." The fracture of their brief union was as tangible as the splintered earth. The Asterisk Vanguard's crew, weary and questioning, looked to Vance for direction, their faith shaken, their purpose now unclear. With heavy steps, they withdrew to their vessel. First Officer Wren, troubled, sought Vance's counsel. "Captain, was sacrifice the only path?" he queried, his tone a tapestry of reverence and skepticism. Vance, burdened by the gravity of her decision, replied, "Necessity guided my hand, though I dread the unseen toll it may exact." The Asterisk Vanguard became a sanctuary for the crew's battered bodies and spirits. Yet, in the med bay's quietude, The artifact's call to Vance grew more fervent, unrelenting. Compelled, she gazed from the viewing port at the lush planet sprawled below. The artifact's mysteries beckoned, shrouded in the folds of time and guardianship. An abrupt tremor shook the ship. Alarms blared. The approach of a fleet from the galactic core signaled that their battle had not gone unnoticed. Captain Vance's commands resonated with the clarity of hardened steel. Initiate ether jump prep. We cannot withstand a direct confrontation. But their response lagged. The core fleet's advanced ships, swift and predatory, ensnared the Asterisk Vanguard Asterisk in their web. Wren's deft hands danced over the controls, strategizing escape routes. Yet for every gambit, the enemy was their shadow, an inexorable force to their fleeting evasion. Vance's history, once shrouded, now surged to the forefront. These ships, once fled from in shame, now faced her anew. No longer a fugitive, but a captain whose crew's trust was her crucible. "Open communications," she ordered, her eyes locked on the display. "They seek what we've found. We hold leverage." Her gamble was as precarious as the artifact's own balance. The enemy's reply was an icy void, then a terse message: "Cease your flight and submit to boarding." In that moment, Vance's past and present collided, a nexus of duty and determination. Her next choice would define the Asterisk Vanguard's asterisk fate and her own legacy among the stars. Chapter 4: The Edge of Revelation. The Asterisk U.E.S. Vanguard Asterisk, ensnared by the tractor beam's relentless embrace, quivered like a cornered creature caught in the cosmic web of an interstellar predator. Captain Alara Vance, her frame a silhouette against the pulsing lights of the bridge, felt the imminence of a reckoning. "Captain," Wren's voice sliced through the tension, a blade of urgency. "Core Command is on the line." With a terse nod, Vance summoned her resolve. The view screen sparked to life, framing the stoic countenance of Admiral Voss, Vance's own ghost of failures past. "Captain Vance," intoned the Admiral, his voice a chilling draft from the vacuum beyond, "your actions have not gone unnoticed." Vance's reply was measured, betraying none of the tumult within. "The artifact you seek is our bargaining chip." A flicker of intrigue passed over Voss's features. "Surrender it, and amnesty will be yours." But to Vance, the artifact embodied legacies and truths far beyond the grasp of empires. Her denial was a mantle of custodianship she bore. "It's beyond your reach," she lied, a stratagem that stirred unrest within her ranks. Voss's response was a sly curl of the lip, a harbinger of the storm to come. "So be it. Prepare for our arrival." Communication ceased, leaving a silence that was soon broken by the unexpected: freedom. The ship jerked forward, released from its bonds. Wren, bewildered, scanned the monitors. "They've let us go?" Confusion reigned until a garbled message revealed the truth. A mutiny had erupted within the core fleet. The Asterisk Vanguard Asterisk had been relegated to an afterthought in Voss's calculus. With no time to waste, Vance commanded, "Navigate us into the nebula, cloak engaged." Wren executed the order, and the ship slipped away, a phantom among the stars. The reprieve, however, was fleeting. They soon found themselves amid a burgeoning conflict, and amidst the fray, a custodian vessel, its guns trained on the core's armada. Vance's mind was a whirlwind. The artifact was not just a relic, it had become the fulcrum of change. A resolution crystallized. "We stand with the custodians," she declared, intertwining their destiny with these inscrutable allies. The Asterisk Vanguard Asterisk deftly wove through the battle, an agent of balance. And then a call from the planet. The artifact had awakened, beckoning her. The gravity of the moment was palpable. Any misstep could lead to catastrophe. not just for them but for the entire galaxy. Vance felt the urgency deep in her marrow. The Asterisk Vanguard Asterisk made its way through the maelstrom, the crew's unity put to the test. Ren, in particular, grappled with trepidation, the power of the artifact opening a rift of doubt. Vance faced him, their exchange raw, their vulnerabilities exposed. "I need you," she implored, her voice a fusion of command and plea. Solidified by her candor, Ren's allegiance deepened. "I stand with you, Captain," he vowed, bridging the divide. The narrative was rich with subplots. The insurrection was spearheaded by a figure from Vance's past, a character seeking their own absolution reflecting her journey. Their paths converged amidst the chaos of the present, each seeking a future yet unwritten. The Asterisk Vanguard Asterisk descended to the planet, its surface alive with the artifact's resonance. Vance moved forward, her history, a tapestry of triumphs and failures, whirling about her. They reached the resting place of the artifact, an edifice of ancient origin, where destiny's last piece lay in wait. The artifact radiated an inviting glow, but it was the silhouette that cast a shadow over them which captured their attention. There stood Admiral Voss, the embodiment of Vance's ultimate challenge, flanked by elite forces, set against a tempestuous sky. The climax was upon them, the stage set for a final clash that would determine fates and forge legacies. Chapter 5. The Harmony of Chaos. Within the temple's ancient confines, where stone bore the whispers of eons, Captain Ilara Vance and her crew stood as defiant guardians before the thrumming heart of the galaxy, the artifact. Arrayed against them, Admiral Voss and his cadre of elite troopers personified the impending storm. Silence reigned but for a breath before the destiny-shaping fray was unleashed. Vance, the very embodiment of courage that had shepherded her through the stars, engaged Voss in a duel that would etch itself into history. The chamber was set ablaze with the fury of their energy weapons, a ballet of destruction under the watchful eyes of the ancients. The crew, each a hero of their own tale woven into the saga's tapestry, met the elite soldiers with equal fervor. Ren, his earlier uncertainties distilled into unshakable resolve, was a whirlwind of defiance. Every character arc that had been meticulously built throughout the saga converged here, finding resolution in the crucible of conflict. Amidst the chaos, the artifact stirred, a conductor orchestrating the symphony of fate. Vance, mid-strike against Voss, was struck by an epiphany as profound as the cosmos itself. The artifact's essence was revealed not as a harbinger of domination, but as a conduit to the universe's deepest truths. This unforeseen revelation was the narrative's pivot, a masterstroke that redefined the saga's path. With newfound clarity, Vance stayed her hand. "This relic transcends power. It is an ode to enlightenment," she professed, her voice rising above the tumult of war. Voss, ensnared by his own thirst for supremacy, was blind to the artifact's true nature. His unyielding assault was his undoing. The artifact responded to his hostility not with obliteration, but with transformation. In a spectacle of radiant energy, Voss's essence was not extinguished but rather woven into the cosmic expanse, an indelible thread in the fabric of existence. In the aftermath, triumph was laced with introspection. Vance and her crew navigated the emotional labyrinth of their odyssey's end. Ren's journey from trepidation to trust culminated in a poignant exchange with Vance, a silent acknowledgement of battles shared and personal demons overcome. The crew, once a constellation of disparate souls, were now fused into an indomitable whole, their bonds forged in the furnace of shared trials.